like to thank everybody for coming. Apologize for the short delay. So if we all can stand, the flag is back there. If you all can see that. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Okay. So, I need, actually, before we get started, to amend the agenda. So we have public comments. If you're here to speak on a subject, would you please stand, your name, and what subject matter that you'll be talking on?
Hi, I'm Andrea Mayo Bristol, and I was wanting to speak about agenda 5A, 1, back to school plans.
Okay. Thank you.
You want me to do that now, or?
Yeah, we'll address it later.
Oh, you're gonna address it first?
Yeah.
Got it.
I'm Christina Harry, and I'm here to also address the back to school plans.
5A also?
Yes, that's right.
Okay.
Randy Strasser here to talk about item F. 15.
That'd be 4F?
That's correct. Facility is 4F, yes.
Okay. Any others? All right. Board, we have a update to amend the agenda from what was previously sent out. I need a motion to amend the agenda.
What, amend the agenda?
Amend the agenda.
I'll make a motion to amend the agenda on a specific.
No, just the new one that's after this.
Okay, make a motion that we approve the agenda for tonight's meeting as presented now.
Have a motion, a second, any discussion? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. All right, approval of minutes. We have minutes for the May 24th work session and the regular meeting. Need a motion for approval of the minutes.
So moved.
Thank you. Thank you. All right, have a motion, second, any discussion? If not, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, thank you. Routine, reports, let's go to reports. Try and get ahead of myself here, Mr. Holmes. Just yours, I guess, for this month.
We did get our tax draw. You should have in your packet a sheet that has that information on it. Andrea and I were starting to get a little nervous, but we did get it, and our funds are looking much better, and so we're happy about that. And we certainly have enough funds to pay our obligations for our bonds, and that will be due at the end of June and in July. So any questions on those funds, that tax draw? If not, the only other issue I was going to address, and I don't know if Chip wants to share any more on this, but Daktronics did notify us that our application had been approved, and they are going to send out the contract hopefully either Wednesday or Thursday. And as soon as we get that, we'll get it to Dick and I assume it'll be much in the same form that he saw before. I don't think it'll take long, and then so hopefully we should have that available at the end of the week. And Chip, did you have anything you wanted to add on Daktronics or the fundraising?
I mean, I've been in the office now for about a week. So financially, I've been working on that one. I did give you guys, I know a lot of you were asking questions, because obviously the idea to be able to pull that contract in quickly, you want to know where we're at. So I gave you that sheet. That last sheet kind of gives you an idea of where I'm at. We're about probably halfway from being cost neutral in just a week. I have a few people that I think that are interested in going up to kind of our top level of partnership, but obviously that's a pretty big commitment, so they're trying to work that out. So I feel pretty good about financially where we're at. And you guys can kind of take a look there where we are just in a week.
Thank you.
Well, you have first right now?
Yeah.
All right. So, for routine matters, we will be doing actually 4A through D. Consent items claim the payroll in the amount of $1,771,402.09. The financial reports submitted by the treasurer. We have employment of certified staff. I think I will highlight, and we'll talk a little bit more here in a minute, that Mr. Schuler and Mrs. Stanford. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. As Jeff will be our Delphi high school principal, and Mrs. Stanberry will be our middle school principal. Employment of classified staff there. We have resignations. Also, the superintendent seeks permission to post positions prior to the July 19th regular board meeting too, is one of the agenda items in order to get the people in place. So I need a motion for routine matters 4A through D.
Just before it's up, we're going to suspend the rules on the administrative contract.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for remembering that.
Can we pull, D3 for a separate vote?
Yes, we can, actually, Mr. Smith, I'm glad you said that. So we will be polling, which one was it now, Neil? B3, okay. B3 will be pulled out, due to our policies, and the way that our interview and everything goes. It states that a board, to interview, 2 to 3 candidates in person. We need to suspend that rule so we can proceed with the hiring of our middle school and high school candidates.
You want to do, sorry.
Let's rule 3120.
Rule 3120?
Yep.
Okay.
Should we pull 3 and 5 and add that to that particular?
So I think once you make that motion, you can move on the consent agenda.
Okay.
Okay, so you're looking for a motion to approve routine matters.
Well,
Suspending
we
the
wanna
rules
suspend, we
first.
need to
Oh,
suspend
okay.
the rule.
Yep.
Okay, so I'll make a motion that we suspend rule 3120
Yep.
for routine matters B and 5. Is that right?
Yep. Okay. All in favor?
Second.
Thank you. All right.
Okay.
We got her, that's the way.
Now you can do all.
Yeah, okay. Well, we need to vote on. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, opposed? Thank you. Yes, this is. All right. Now we're gonna go to routine matters there. 4A through D, pulling out B, 3. And, oh no, 3. Need motion?
So moved.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you, guys. All right, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? None? Okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Now we will do B3 as a separate motion. And Mr. Smith, you will be abstaining from that vote, right? Yeah.
Make a motion that we accept routine matter B3. Recommendation as presented.
Thank you. Thank you, Zach. All right, we have a motion for item B3. Any discussion, comments? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained?
Aye.
Thank you, Mr. Smith. Okay, routine matter now for, let me get to my thing here. Yeah, the E, 4E. It is a educational consultant, hiring Mr. Ronk. I don't know if you guys run copy or not, but here it is real quick in case you need to take a look. I will read off the, do you need one? Okay. So what it is it's a, Mr. Ronk has agreed to be a education consultant for us. This will help in the transition part with our new superintendent. It'll be great value also at the same time, will help us get through our first budget to be filed. That's always a thing that you need to get through it first and really understand it, and with Mr. Ronk having actually a couple here now at Delphi under his belt, will be great that way. The other thing that he will be doing will be helping the board with our policies, so we can get them updated. One thing that has seemed to light, I guess, is some of them it's been quite some time, and we need to update them, and with COVID this last year, kind of took a little bit of Mr. Ronk's time, and we really couldn't do it. So the agreement is that it's going to be entered into today between Delphi School Corporation by the Board of the School Trustees and Mr. Ronk as an independent contractor. Terms is July 1st, 2021, and will end June 30th, 2022, unless the contract is terminated or otherwise canceled prior to the term. Mr. Ronk, as I said, the responsibilities, as we said, his compensation will be paid at $50 an hour, shall not exceed 8 hours a day for his consulting services. Services up to 960 hours or 120 days during the term of this contract. He will keep track of the time, report into the superintendent and the board president. It also has a clause in there for him to be able to obtain dental or vision insurance at his own cost. Basically, he understands that he is not an employee of the school. Let's see, termination may, Delphi may at any time with or without reason terminate the contracts and compensate Mr. Ronk for services satisfactorily rendered to the date of termination. Basically, that's it. I'd like to have a motion on this.
I move that we approve the educational consultant contract as presented.
Thank you.
Second.
All right. Got a motion, a second. Any comments? Mr. Ronk, is this agreement with you? Okay,
Yes, fine.
okay.
I would just comment, it's pretty routine when you have a superintendent, a brand new superintendent to either hire, there's different administrative consulting services, so to have Mr. Ronk, who already has experience, it doesn't make any sense to go outside of somebody that's been here previously, so, I think, this is very common, I guess, in my.
Just to clarify, Nick, there's no, automatic rollover or anything that we have to do before.
Oh, no, because it's a fair question, but not, it's just not a superintendent contract or administrator.
Any other questions? Mr. Circle, are you okay with this too? Moving forward, I better ask that. Okay.
Absolutely fine.
Thank you. All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right. Okay, facility use. Mr. Strauss, I believe you wanted to comment on the request.
Well, first off, I want to apologize for missing the timeline. I wasn't aware that this needed to be in prior to meet your agenda. So I apologize about that. This is something that's been standing for many years, if not decades, where fireworks have been shot from the southwest corner of the back facilities here behind the high school and the administration office. So I actually spoke with Foreman Blasters Pyrotechnics out of Peru, the same group that's been doing this for several years. They anticipate being here at about 4 o'clock on July the 4th, and fireworks will go, and sometime probably around 11 or so, they should wrap up and be out here.
So, need a motion for, number 4F on facility use request to allow the Greater Delphi Chamber of Commerce to use the school facility. Would that be an outside only, or will you need to have for inside?
Outside only.
Okay, thank you.
So moved.
Yeah. Just a little addition on that, we do have the chamber's insurance, certificate of insurance. The pyrotechnics will actually have their state permit, and their insurance should be to us sometime in the next week or week and a half.
Okay, can you get that, you can forward that to us, that'd be great, so we can have it on file. All right, any other comments or questions on this motion? If not, all.
May I, do you use the parking lots and that kind of thing? Do people typically gather here then too? Because I have not been a part of it.
The school's allowed people to actually park on the parking lot. It's not something that we promote or anything, it's just, it happens.
Okay.
Yeah, show us.
Well, now, you are actually talking about using the area back here, the practice, yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
okay,
Yeah.
all right.
Any other concerns, comments? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right. 5A1. Yeah, Nick, if you wanna.
Sure.
If you wanna come on up so we can hear you, our attorney has, a comment on that.
Sure, I'm kind of happy to speak on this. I obviously don't know exactly what you intend to speak on, but can represent a variety of school corporations, and generally there's a lot of parents that are passionate about what's going to happen with masks next school year. So the governor's order ends at the end of this month, And so at that point, there's no mask mandate for schools. So the school, and we don't anticipate the governor extending that from what we can tell at this point. So, for masks to be required after June 30th, the board will have to take some affirmative action at a future board meeting to require masks. So there's questions that a lot of parents have about that, and I just want to kind of explain the procedure for what would have to happen. If the board never takes any action, there won't be a mask mandate. It would effectively be wear a mask if you choose to wear a mask. It will not be mandatory though. So it's a long time getting here. Delphi has worked very hard, I think, to be open as much as possible. And I know when they had to close, it weighed very heavily on Mr. Ronk and Anne Marie when they had to make those decisions. And I don't want to speak for the board. I think most people want life to be back to normal next school year. And it's not just masks, by the way, that the board has to consider, but it's masks, it's quarantining, it's social distancing, it's how many people can go to the football games or the volleyball games. There's a lot of things to consider. The other thing I'll say is I think the board and Superintendent Anne Marie did a great job this past year keeping it open. When I've heard board members and superintendents be accused, well, if you want to be open, you just want people to die. I mean, that's literally the comments that some of them got. So I think my experience with Delphi and with other boards is they want to be as much back to normal as possible. And whether you're for or against masks, I just ask that you be respectful. I think the board meetings that I've been at have been a lot better when both sides listen to each other and not yell at each other. Yeah.
Well, I had no intention of coming in and yelling at anybody.
Sure.
I mean, there are times where I might, but, no, not now. I mean, Mrs. Circle knows me, so I get a little feisty, but
Yeah.
not all the time. Again, well, you did answer one of my questions, which I very much appreciate. My name is Andrea Mayer Brustel. Do you need my address and everything? It says on the agenda, but I live in Delphi. I have two current Delphi High School students, a senior, they're going to be a senior and a sophomore. And I want to echo, actually I wrote a whole thing and everything, but you sort of stole my thunder. I'm also a sub here in the high school and in the middle school. I love the kids, so I've been in the schools, both the schools, a lot this year. In that way, COVID was kind of fun because I got to be here a lot with the kids. It really was hard otherwise, having everybody be gone. But I do want to echo saying, you guys did a tremendous job keeping it open. We're originally from Minnesota. I have friends who their kids were not back in school until the spring. And then it got really hot up there and they said, oh, it's too hot, we're gonna close again. And they just ended the year. So, I mean, truly, truly, thank you so much for keeping it open and doing everything you did. The masks, as you can see, I'm not a fan. I think they're kind of worthless, but, so that answers my question. Tippecanoe Schools just announced that they are not going to have a mask mandate this year, so we were hoping that you would do the same. I do have some questions about the other things, the social distancing, all these arrows on the floor and kids dragging backpacks around all day long and digging through their backpacks to find their stuff and the heavy book bags and not being able to go to their lockers. All I'm asking, because I don't have to throw this out the window because you answered so much. All I'm asking, all we really wanted to know is what is going on. And last year in the summer, everything was up in the air. It was so crazy, and we were all so stressed out going, do we go to school? Do we get home? Do we figure out how to homeschool? Do we just move to Florida? Because DeSantis seems to know what he's doing, and we'll just go there, It was so stressful, and I don't want to go through that again. And so that's why I was just wanted it on the agenda, so you would tell us what you're thinking. You're our elected officials. We can hold you accountable. I can go and talk to Anne Marie anytime and be like, hey, and she'll tell me lots of things that are great, but you guys are the ones that I can hold accountable when I go to the ballot box. That's how that works. You're my voice. And we are asking you to tell us what's going on. And I know that you can't always do that because you don't know what's happening, but we need to know as it's coming, we need to know. So it's not 2 weeks before the school year starts and we're like, oh, really? Now I have to make a whole bunch of masks and we're gonna have social distancing and this is how it's gonna be and kids have to do all of these things, and just tell us what's going on. One of the other things that wasn't mentioned, the whole quarantine thing where we stayed at 14 days for quarantine when CDC kind of changed some of that stuff, and I'm wondering about those policies, how that's going to work when we have healthy kids. I have 2 kids that both were quarantined at least twice, never got sick, and that's frustrating. I have 1 kid that handles being at home really well. I have another kid who goes into a complete and total depression spiral, and it's super hard. I was scared to take my kids to the doctor because I was afraid they would get a COVID test, it would come back positive. I would just keep them home because I didn't want 15 other kids or 30 other kids being sent home to sit. The whole cast of the play was quarantined 2 weeks before school got out. It's just, we need to figure out how to do this, and we have therapeutics and we have the vaccine, which also I'm hoping, like you said in that email in the circle, that there wouldn't be a mandate for the vaccine for the kids. One of the questions I have is, does that mean just to go to school, or does that also include extracurriculars? Because there's been a survey that came out from the Indiana Department of Education that really brought it up several times. Would you be willing to get your kid a vaccine if it meant that they could do extracurriculars? Well, no, still not into it. So we should be able to make that choice. It's America, and it is not FDA approved yet, and there are a lot of issues with the heart inflammation that's coming up right now, too, with the young boys. So I want my kids to be in extracurriculars. I have a cheerleader, I have a drama student, but we need to be, parents need to have the right to make that choice, too. I just run through this really quick. Also, if things change, say we get a surge of some sort during cold and flu season, will you have a contingency plan on that? And will we be made aware as soon as possible what those contingency plans are? On the flip side of that, when the surge decreases and the restrictions, if there are any put on, will we be told, okay, now we can do this, now the kids don't need masks? Those are things, I'm just asking for communication. And let's get rid of the kids hate the masks, most of them, they don't like them, and they don't wash them, just so you know, they're gross. So, yeah, pretty much that's what I have, and I'm just, like I said, I really would like to see us go back to the glory days of 2019, when things were normal. That would be really awesome. So, again, you're elected leaders. We look to you to be our voices and to let us know what's going on. I think that the superintendents have done a great job. The corporation nurses did what they needed to do, but you are our elected officials. So, thank you.
Thank you.
I'm Christina Harry, and I have 2 kids in the school corporation. I have a going to be 4th grader and a going to be senior. Honestly, you kind of covered basically everything that I was going to say. There's only a couple things that I would like to mention. One, SEA 5 was created to put the power back in the elected officials' hands. The people that we can say, we like what you do by voting you back in, or we don't like what you do by not voting you back in, whereas the people that sit, on the Board of Health and stuff, we can complain to them all we want, but we can't get rid of them. They're there, and they know that. And just want to say about the emergency order expiring, and then other school corporations in the area, Tippecanoe, coming out and saying that they're going to have a voluntary mask policy. That would be awesome to hear for our kids, so they can go back to their normal lives. And we just ask that you use common sense when you come up with what you come up with, because there's nothing to prove that masks work, and everything to say that they don't. If you want an experiment, put chalk on a table and have a bunch of kids wear their masks, and then have them touch the table and go about their business, there'll be chalk everywhere. Everything that they touch goes right here. And guess what they're doing? They're breathing it in. Those masks, it says on the box, they don't prevent the flu, they don't prevent any of that stuff. They don't keep you safe from any of it. It says right on the box. I work in a hospital, and right on the box it says it. That's not their intended purpose. I think it was intended to make everybody feel safe, or make everybody feel like they were doing something, which is great, but now we know they don't work. Now we know that the kids aren't getting sick, we know they're not spreading it, and now we're learning about the vaccines. So the only thing that we ask on that end is that we don't force the kids to get vaccines, to do extracurriculars, that we don't say if you don't get a vaccination, you have to wear a mask, like some of the recommendations that we saw coming down. It's ridiculous. The kids just need to live. What else was I gonna say? Oh yeah, and then we just, as parents, last year, we appreciate everything you did. And it hit all of us by surprise, and it was a year of learning, and we all did the best we could. And some people lost their patience, and other people made bad decisions, and that's fine, but we've had a year to learn. Let's just take what we learned in the past year, and let's just use common sense, and let's get the kids back to being kids. Let's get the football games the way they used to be. Let's just go back to life. Because I think the numbers, Andrea, there was what, over all school year last year, there was 53 kids, that's it, that tested positive.
Yeah, I have the list.
Yeah, in the county, 53. We
In
did
the
all
school
that
district.
in the school district, yeah. We had 53 kids, 53, and like 9 teachers.
84.
Oh, sorry, 84. And how many teachers?
Less than 5 in the middle school and the high school, and the elementary school, and 8 in the high schools.
Yeah, so we did all that. Had the kids carrying around 50 pounds on their back all day long, not being able to go to their lockers, not being able to hang out with their friends at lunch, not being able to have people cheering them on at their sporting events for those numbers. So we learned. Let's just move on and do the right thing, please. And that's all I got.
Thank you.
Yep, thank you.
All right. We will go to 5B for calendars. We have in front of you the calendar revision for the 21-22 and that for PD time, and then also the proposed 22-23 calendar. Do I have a motion to adopt the calendar revisions in school years?
Now, my intent on the 22-23 is not that you adopt it tonight, but
Okay.
that you just,
Information only?
yes,
Okay,
that way
thank you.
to give the public a chance to see it and
Okay.
perhaps comment on it.
Okay. So we do need to act on the revision of the
Yes, on the
21-22 calendar
21-22.
for out of PD time. And, Mrs. Circle, would you enlighten us on what that hours are for, on, I believe it's Wednesday?
Wednesday, yes. So, as we look at our testing data and our assessments throughout the year, it is evident that we have suffered learning loss like the rest of school corporations in Indiana and in the United States, for that matter. We need to be proactive and start filling some of those gaps for our students. Currently, we have very small amount of PD time for us to even look at data, to talk to teachers about different types of strategies, looking at tier 1, tier 2, tier 3. We need that time, and we did not have that. We need to have a pre-K through 12 plan of professional development. Right now, even if we have professional development time, it's only within our buildings. We would definitely benefit from being able to have cross-school building professional development so that our math is aligned, our science is aligned, everything's aligned. Because right now, we're a small district, but we still have separate buildings, and we need to collaborate with each other. That's the only way we're gonna get better. So, I'm not gonna go through the 2-page email that I wrote to the board about all the reasons why, but the plan that I propose is that on Wednesdays, we have delayed start of 9 a.m. This would give the teachers an hour every Wednesday for us to do professional development, and that professional development would be teacher-led, So, the school day, the buses would just literally run an hour later on those days. If we happen to have a 2-hour delay, then that would not, it would stand. Anything else, any questions from the board?
Get a motion on,
I'll make a motion that, we approve the revisions of the 2021, 2022 calendar for added previous time as presented.
okay, guys, we have a motion and a second. Now, any discussion, questions for, Mr. Circle? Or about it?
As a teacher, there's professional development time to align information and collaborate between the building families. Makes all sense in the world, and I know it's going to help quite a bit of the student staff. So,
All right, if not, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you.
And then we'll get the 2023 calendar posted on the website and make it available for people to comment on.
Okay. 5C, we have a 2021-2022 school year changes. No virtual option for the new school year, so we plan to be in person 100% of the time. Make all Delphi school the Purple Star schools. Create a policy of electronic attendance at the school board meeting and a resolution for that. Nick, is that one we're gonna do separate? Or should
Yeah,
we-
I would do that separately.
Okay.
Explain that.
So we will be doing, C 1 and 2, 5C 1 and 2.
Mr. Connor is here to speak to,
purple
C2.
school.
Yeah, because he brought that forward to us.
Mr. Connor,
You need a motion for
yeah, let's go ahead and get a motion. Thank you.
Mr. President, I would move that we adopt, item C 1 and 2 as presented.
Okay.
Second.
Okay, Mr. Connor,
Seems okay, I've had my shots.
Yeah.
All right, thank you. So, Mrs. Gill approached me about this Purple Star school, and for the elementary school teachers, there's about an hour of training. For a middle school, high school teacher, it ended up being about 2 hours of training. Sounds like a really, really good program. It's growing across the nation, and if you kind of look in your folder on the left, there's some articles that just kind of talks about, you can kind of look through them in case someone asks you, hey, what's this about? But there's an article from the Boston Herald. Over on the right-hand side, that's a report that was made by the Columbia's Law School, and spoke very favorably of the program. There's a couple magazine articles as well, and it just talks about the challenges that children, military families face, that their children face, and that there are certain things that all veterans want you to know about them. And I just picked out a couple of them. One of them, it says, we're not all soldiers, you know, especially if you ask a Marine. They have leaders at every, yeah, that's pretty much been drilled into their heads. We have leaders at every level in the chain of command. We're always on duty. We don't all have PTSD. If we have an invisible wound, it's not dangerous. It's hard for us to ask for help. Our military service changes us. And this is the one I thought was probably the most interesting. We differ how much we identify with the military after we leave active duty. And I've got 3 examples. There was Mr. Bonner. You worked with him. He was an iron worker. He served in World War II in Italy, and he wore his dog tags every day of his life. He never ever had his dog tags off of it. When he passed away, he was wearing his dog tags, and now his son wears them. So he identified with it, you know, greatly. My dad had a friend his name was Lewis. He was in a destroyer on off a typhoon, off the island of Okinawa, got caught in a typhoon, and all of Dad's friends told me about what they did in the war. Lewis never ever spoke about it. And I was a little kid and I kept asking him, and he said, okay, Tim, I will tell you, and I will tell you once. And like his ship was rolling 60 degrees of center, and it was designed to roll 40 degrees. And he said there were men that were so scared and so sick that they were begging someone to shoot them. And he wrapped up this whole conversation in less than 3 minutes. And he goes, I will never talk to you about it again. And he goes, I've never been on a ship or a boat since I set foot back in the States. But my brother happened to meet a survivor of the USS Indianapolis. And when he met Terry, he told Terry, he said, you know what? I will answer every question that you want, that you have, because people need to know. So I think it's important too that we respect them. You know, some want to share, some don't want to share. It says, our families all served with them. I thought 14 and 15 were probably the most poignant. It says we would die for each other and we would die for our country, and we have all made this sacrifice for one reason, to serve something more important than ourselves, which I know Mr. Straussman knows, and I know Mr. Smith knows, and there's probably other people in here that know as well. But I think it's this idea of the citizen soldier. George Washington was probably, at the end of the war, he's the most powerful person in the country. He gave up his command, and all he wanted to do was go back to Mount Vernon and farm. And every citizen soldier that we've had, at some point they separate themselves from the military and they go back and they become members of the community. And this program would just tell people that we value their service, we value their families, and we want to make them feel welcome. If you want to see, I found one school that has a pretty good website. It's Center Grove Schools. So I'm excited about the program. I also think that if you look, it says a lot. It says Purple Star Schools foster diverse, inclusive, and supportive school environments through their initiative and trainings, which serves all students regardless of the military connection. So I'm proud to be a part always at Delphi Community School Corporation, and I'm proud that we're going to be a part of this program. So thank you very much.
All right.
Is there a cost to this? Is there certain conditions we gotta meet to become a Purple Star School or remain a Purple Star School?
There's no cost.
I don't understand the information we're being presented.
May I speak on it?
Yes.
Okay. Everything that is required, Mr. Tim Connor, because this is his gift, and we know, as a history teacher, he has already fulfilled. The only thing that we need to do as a district is make sure that we have a website, which he obviously has researched and found for us, a website that we can model after this summer and get posted. And then I know Mrs. Circle and I have talked about having Dana Kirkwood also involved, because each building needs to have a representative that the veterans know that they can go to and talk to if they need resources. And I know Mr. Connor already has a strong connection in the community with several of our veterans in their offices. So, no, so to answer your questions, we have already fulfilled the obligations, except for one piece, we need your support. And we have a letter that we need signed off on, that you agree to support us being a Purple Star district.
It's mainly just to train our teachers to provide, be willing and able to provide support to military students and their families.
Page 4, 4.7.
Okay, we actually have a resolution as part of that in support of our military families. And I'll read it here real quick so you'll also know as you're approving for that Purple Star. Whereas today over 1 million Americans are bravely serving the United States Armed Services. More than 19,000 Hoosiers have actually served in their nation away from home. And whereas over 20,000 children in the state of Indiana are members of military families, and whereas students who have parents in the military may experience 6 to 9 different schools during their K through 12 education. And whereas frequently moves family separations through deployments and impresses present unique challenges to the families, and whereas the DCSC is committed to meeting the unique needs of all students, especially those of the military youth, therefore be it resolved that DCSC offers our gratitude and support for all military personnel, their families, and veterans. Resolved that DCSC will establish and train point a contact of each building to support military families. Resolved that DCSC will make every effort to connect military families with resources they need. That will be in as the part of the motion. So, any other questions on the virtual school? We also have